Hello, Faith Community Church. I'm Clint here with Pastor Josh today. We are in Luke chapter 14. We're going to talk in this chapter a little bit about this parable of the large banquet. I'm going to start reading here in verse 16. It says this, "And then he told him, a man was giving a large banquet and invited many. At the time of the banquet, he sent his servant to tell those who were invited, 'Come, because everything is now ready.' But without exception, they all began to make excuses." So what is this parable? What are we talking about here?
Yeah, it's really a sad response to a really terrific invitation.
Okay.
Because such a banquet or a big dinner, this is a celebration. This would be something like a wedding feast or just something spectacular to go to. And so Jesus gives this parable. Now, earlier on in Luke 14, you have Jesus actually sitting down at a dinner with guests.
Okay.
And he observes how the guests have come in and everyone's trying to get the chief seats and the best seats
Right.
at the banquet.
Like in a movie theater, you're trying to get the
Yeah.
like the not front row, but that sweet spot right in the
Yeah,
middle.
they're trying to get the best. And he tells them, hey, when you go to a dinner or something like this, go for the worst seats so that whoever humbles himself or whoever exalts himself will be humbled, but whoever humbles himself will be exalted.
Right.
And then he gives an explanation about, hey, when you give a dinner or a feast, don't invite the people that are going to be able to repay you back. Invite the people that don't have any means to repay you back, okay?
Right.
And show the kindness to them. So in the midst of this, he begins to tell this parable about these people that were invited to this great banquet, this great dinner. But the sad response is in verse 18, "But they all alike began to make excuses. The first one said to him, 'I've bought a piece of land, and I need to go to it and look at it. Please consider me excused.' Another one said, 'I've bought 5 yoke of oxen, and I'm going to try them out. Please consider me excused.' Another said, 'I've married a wife, and for that reason I cannot come.'"
So they're on their honeymoon.
So Jesus gives this parable that these people have been invited to this amazing banquet,
Right.
but they're too busy and they're too distracted to respond, and that's really sad. And what Jesus is doing, he's giving this parable because this is illustrating God's invitation to the kingdom,
Right.
this invitation for salvation, and that people are distracted by the things of this world. They're distracted by their own priorities, and they've elevated other things as more important than God and his invitation.
So too busy here, meaning I'm too busy in love with the world, whatever I'm doing right now.
So this is definitely a salvation type of parable.
Got it.
The people they're too busy to respond to Christ, and so you see that. Because of this, the master is angered. He's enraged that he's done this good thing and people have disregarded his kindness. And so he tells them, hey, go out to the highways and byways, compel people to come. Like, this is God's heart in the matter for salvation. It's like, compel people to come. Like God is beating the bushes.
So this isn't like, this isn't on the corkboard in the hallway, hey, you should come to this at some point, and if people see it and come, then that's fine. This is like phone call, showing up at your house and saying, I want you to come to this thing.
And all of this is illustrating God's heart and inviting people to know him, to fellowship with him. Okay, that's what the whole parable is about. And then Jesus, he transitions from this whole response to God's invitation to what that means to respond, this commitment to him. Look at verse 25. He says, "Now a large crowd was going along with him, and he turned and he said to them, 'If anyone comes to me and does not hate his father and his mother and his wife and his children and his brothers and sisters, yes, and even his own life, he cannot be my disciple.'" And so Luke pairs these two teachings together about God's desire that we would respond to his call. And then Jesus saying, hey, if you want to respond to me, if you want to follow me, you need to follow. And you need to love and prioritize me over any other love in your life.
Right.
That your love for Christ ought to make your love for your parents or
pale
your
in
family,
comparison, right?
Look like man, like it doesn't even compare.
Yeah.
And so Jesus says, whoever doesn't hate his father and mother and his family, because he's making this disparity that he calls us to love him with the supreme love and devotion that exceeds anything that we have in this world. So Jesus gives us this parable to show this response that God desires, and then what it means to be a disciple, this commitment to him. And so the whole chapter kind of focuses on those two things.
Got it. Yeah, the cost of following Jesus is, I don't normally think of my family as the first thing getting in the way of loving Christ, but after I've had a couple of kids too, like you love your kids like dearly, and so to have, in comparison to loving Jesus, it looks like you hate your family.
Yeah.
Man, that's a huge comparison.
And just following, right? He talks about whoever doesn't hate even his own life, right? This willingness that I'm going to follow Christ even no matter what,
right?
Even if it costs me dearly, even if it costs me my life,
right?
To love him more than anything else,
right? And it doesn't really cost you your life though, because life is with true good life is with Christ.
Yeah,
anyway,
absolutely.
So. All right, well, that is Luke chapter 14. We're going to come back again tomorrow with another devotional. Until then, we'll see you later.
All right, bye-bye.